Hello, this is Xbox Ahoy, and this is the bonus footage from my time with the PDW-57, and also the laser sight. As usual, I'm taking your questions, principally from the PDW-57 video, some from the laser video if I get time, and I'll be attempting to provide answers, or insights to my processes, or just simply mocking the people who ask these questions. And so, wasting no time, let's get on to the questions. So, the hot topic this week. This particular question from Pepper Lexian, but make no mistake, there were plenty of people who commented on this. Your voice is different, or you sound ill, Stu, are you okay? In actual fact, there were so many comments about my slight change to my voice that I think this video had about 50% more comments than any other in recent history. I read pages of them, pages and pages and pages, just trying to look for questions instead of, oh, are you sick? Oh. Of course, you guys know, if you watched the last bonus footage, yes, I was sick. I still am to a certain degree, and it probably still is having a bit of an effect on my voice. I feel fine. I had a couple of days of fever last week, but I'm over that now. I've just got to cough out the final few symptoms. At this point, I am now fairly confident I caught this off my mother whilst I was home for Christmas, because she had something similar. It's nothing too bad, I think, as far as I can tell, it's just an infection in the lungs. So I've been suffering with a sore throat and a bit of a cough, and a plentiful production of nasty green stuff. And it is the phlegm in which the fundamental problem lies, at least as far as the changes to my voice are concerned. That's the fundamental element to it. So hopefully it will be entirely cleared up by the time I do the next video, otherwise people will be like, oh, Stu, are you... Oh. You know, I think I've been on YouTube far too long, because I can predict comments before they even appear. Like with the 5.7 video. Oh my word, it's a semi-automatic pistol. You know what the comments are going to be. Somebody, in fact probably multiple people, are going to put, nice mod. Or, modded controller. Why? Because it happens with every single pistol video that I've ever done. Some smart aleck thinks, oh, this Xbox Ahoy, he's using a modded controller clearly because nobody can pull the finger at 600 times a minute. I'll expose him and I'll become YouTube famous. Ha 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 ha. And then types the comment, nice mod, noob. I'm moving on. Predictable comments annoy me. The remainder of the comments were mostly about the video itself, which is always nice. A lot of people disagreed with my build loadout. A lot of people actually really liked it. It was quite a divisive one this week. Demotrax was one of the people who found it interesting, saying, very interesting build, very different from the regular. I like it. And because they were nice, they get their comment read out. Some of you don't think the MMS and stock combo is the way to go, the PDW apparently. Now, the rationale behind this, well, I figured, look, I've got two high damage SMGs to cover. Both of which are very, very popular, both of which are used in kind of a similar way. But I thought to myself, well, it'd be interesting if I could take two different approaches with these weapons. It's funny, the majority consensus on the ideal loadout seemed to be based around those channels who, you know, they go into a ground war lobby and they get a 100 kill game. People see these games and they think, wow, that's really super, I wish I could get a 100 kill game. And the builds they use are normally pretty good, you know, they normally have the best regarded attachments and they do work pretty well for getting the high streaks. But not everybody gets 100 kill games, and that's certainly not the only way of playing Black Ops 2. So I thought I'd be slightly more subversive, and for the PDW at least, take the slightly more support-oriented SMG role. I made the decision with the MSMC to go for a super sweaty try-hard build, so you can expect that with the MSMC video. And speaking of predictable comments, you will see a correspondingly high number of people complaining about how overpowered the weapon is. But for the PDW, I went for a pure support build. And this is actually, I would defend this. It isn't necessarily I don't know, you can't objectively say, this is the best loadout. You can't. You simply cannot. You can try, but you'd be wrong. Now, with this one, the PDW is a very, very good weapon. And the best thing about the PDW in my eyes is that it doesn't demand the use of any particular perks, any particular attachments. It's almost like a blank canvas. You can use this weapon in almost any way and it will still be effective. That's one of the reasons it's so popular. What I normally see is the usual crutches, the laser sight and the suppressor. Now as far as flaws with the PDW are concerned, it is heavily reliant on its damage per shot, which means you want to be aiming down your sights, really, when you use it. And you also, well, you also really don't want to sort of lose any of that damage. So I would avoid the suppressor with any of the high damage SMGs. Certainly my view of the game is if you are going to go with a suppressed weapon, the MP7 and the Vector K10 are probably the better choices, which is one of the reasons with the Vector K10 I'm probably going to go with a stealth SMG build. Now with the PDW, to preserve that 3-hit kill, that really critical 3-hit kill, you've got to end down your sights and you've got to keep the weapon unsuppressed to be as effective as possible to get that damage on target. So really hipfire, not the best strategy with this weapon. And the suppressor, probably a bad choice. Don't get me wrong, people can probably get 100 kill games with the PDW and suppressor. Why? Well, because time to kill doesn't really matter when you're facing a lobby of people who are much, much worse at the game than you. And if you're just going to sort of sit and camp in a ground war lobby with a silenced weapon, it doesn't really matter if you're not making the most of its damage potential. But we get back to my fundamental point here, and that is simply that not everybody is out to get 100 kill games. You have to play in a certain way, you have to play a certain mode, and you have to be quite patient. And you also have to be reasonably good at the game. And most people aren't that good at the game, which is part of the reason why I make videos to help people. A lot of people might struggle to get a care package. But with this build, with Hardline, you're going to be more likely to get that care package. With Engineer, you can flip it for, maybe something better. I think for many people, if, you've used Hardline, care package, Engineer, it might be your best shot at getting the higher kill streaks, simply put. Seriously, and the very fact that you do get an awful lot of score for, obviously objectives are one, but also destroying equipment and shooting down stuff like air support, you could probably, you're playing an objective game. If you capture an objective, maybe shoot one guy, then toss an EMP grenade, get a couple of equipment kills, then shoot down a UAV, you've probably already earned your care package. If you get lucky with that care package, you might end up with a swarm. So that was really that was the mentality behind the class. It wasn't necessarily for the better players. The better players, trust me, they already know how to use the PDW. I mean, to be honest, if I was going to play free-for-all, I probably would not run the loadout that I suggested. I ran it a lot in Team Deathmatch, I think. That's the mode I played the majority of. And it works nicely. It works nicely in Team Deathmatch. But for free-for-all, I generally favour, lightweight dexterity. I'd use that on every single weapon in free-for-all, to be perfectly honest. But I don't want to recommend the same stuff every time. So I mix it up. And you've got to build a scenario. To objectively say this loadout is the best loadout, you have to first establish a scenario. And that's what we did with the PDW. Not everybody agreed with it. Some people thought I was stark raving mad. But really, I've thought about it more than most people. I know what I'm doing. Anyway, I should get a move on with the actual questions instead of talking about the video. SpikyDude141 says, Stu, is there any other attachment best for the PDW-57 before the MMS is unlocked? Oh, of course, the MMS is the final attachment. But like I say, there is really nothing wrong with any of the attachments for the PDW. I'd avoid the suppressor just to sort of preserve that damage, but even with the suppressor, you're going to be a little bit more forgiving in a positional sense. The laser sight is always a good one. Laser sight in any SMG is always a good choice. Fast mags, extended clip, not really that useful with the larger magazine on the PDW, but they do have a beneficial attachment. I really like the stock. I would rate the stock as one of probably the top 3 attachments. Stock, laser sight. The iron sights are okay, but especially with the stock, I do like to pair the stock with an optic. Long barrel is it's a good attachment. Whether it's worth a point or not, I don't know. It's only a 15% increase in range. It is that is kind of important though. Long barrel is a nice attachment to use. I'll probably recommend that on the MSMC in case you're wondering. But there are no real wrong choices. I'd avoid rapid fire because you lose, I think it's half of your effective range, so your 3-hit kill zone is tiny. But otherwise, just, rock your favourite attachment and be safe in the knowledge that the PDW is, in fact, versatile enough to support any loadout. Warthog117 says, Hey Stu, what was your favourite game of 2012? I thought about this one a little bit when I selected this question, because, there's a lot of games that came out in 2012. And I narrowed it down to a few. My favourite games on PC, XCOM, the new one, and Faster Than Light. Those are probably my two favourite PC games of 2012. As far as on the Xbox, I really liked Mass Effect 3. I appreciate these games were also on other platforms, but this is the platform I played them on. Mass Effect 3, which had a bit of a bad ending. I mean, if you subscribe to the common consensus, I thought it was okay. Not the most satisfactory ending to a 3 sort of title saga, but to be honest, I don't think anything would have satisfied me. I just want more Mass Effect. But no, Mass Effect, its actual meat and potatoes was thoroughly satisfying, and I did absolutely enjoy it. And it was just more of the same from Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect 2, just tuned slightly and with a whole new section of the universe to explore. Other favourite games on the Xbox, I really liked Forza Horizon. I'm a sucker for driving games. Dirt Showdown also gets an honourable mention. Dirt Showdown wasn't as good as Dirt 3, but I still enjoyed it. But Forza Horizon, probably my favourite driving game of the year. Did quite enjoy it. It felt a bit weird. I'm not sure how I feel about the kind of the awesome aesthetic being applied to the traditionally stoic Forza series, but I had a lot of fun with that game. Oh, and Far Cry 3 as well. I will give that a mention because I have played the ever-loving heck out of that. I managed to sneak in a day's worth of play whilst I was sick, but I'm still not done with it. I will hopefully get to play with it at some point very soon. Anyway, that's 5 games, and I refuse to narrow it down any further. Tyranitar1990 says, Stu, have you ever considered live streaming when you play to obtain clips? Well, I mean, I've considered it. I've considered quite a lot of things, but I don't think it's likely to happen for a couple of reasons. The first is technical. I simply don't have the internet to support decent upload speeds whilst playing a game like Black Ops. I prefer to keep my internet clear to ensure the best possible connection. Secondly, I don't know. I don't really think I'm geared to do live performances, as it were. Especially when I'm recording to get clips, it's all serious business, you know. I've got to focus. So I don't know how I could focus on getting good gameplay whilst at the same time, remain entertaining. Because being entertaining takes a certain degree of focus as well. So, I don't know, something has to give. And I don't know, live stuff isn't really something I want to get into. I am very much a man who prefers a prepared statement, and these bonus videos are about as close as I can comfortably get to, being off the cuff, as it were. And even these are recorded stop-start, like I'll take a break between each question. And, should I need a moment to think or to sort of consider my options, or even if I fluff and need to retake a question, then I will do that. It's not recorded as live, certainly. Veranak Tark says, Hey Stu, do you encounter strong players that sometimes hinder your ability to do your videos? Well, of course, player skill does vary from lobby to lobby. And generally speaking, the worse the opposition, the easier it is to get the impressive clips. Arguably, these clips become less impressive by virtue of being against less impressive players, but, a quad feed is still a quad feed, right? When facing stronger players, and I do run into them, with relatively good frequency, I don't know, I can still get clips against good players, so I don't mind so much. But if someone is in a free-for-all lobby, one situation I'm not too fond of is 2 sharks and a minnow pond. A minnow pond is an incredibly fertile situation where basically you are significantly better than the 7 other people in a free-for-all lobby. It means basically you can just run around and eat to your heart's content, and you get the sick clips, you get reliable wins, which means reliable kill cams, and everything's gravy. I mean, I'm pretty good at free-for-all. I can hang. I know the spawns. I've sunk my hours into it, so I can fairly consistently win free-for-all lobbies. I think my win-loss ratio on free-for-all. This counts top 3s, but it's like 6.1, something like that. I don't know if that's good or not. I honestly don't, but it's above 1. But so I in most lobbies I would be as the shark, but sometimes there are 6 minnows and 2 sharks. There are two people going hard, going sort of for the clips or whatever. And sometimes they'll steal all my minnows, and I'm all like, "Where's my minnows at?" And then it becomes a bit more chancy whether I'll place first or not. Like a good example, I was playing Kill Confirm with a buddy of mine, and I don't know. I don't know about this skill-based matchmaking, but my buddy isn't particularly good, so I let him be party leader, and I get easier opponents, or it seems that way. I was recording with a s'more, so I didn't really want too much of a challenge. Anyway, there was this guy he got a couple of swarms against me, and I thought, how the hell is he getting swarms? What is he doing? And I realised all my teammates were idiots, and they were just feeding him. He was just sort of, he was playing relatively smart, and he was getting his kill streak on. And he was getting AGR after he was using AGRs and the swarm, I don't know what else, possibly the orbital VSAT. Then I realised what he was doing, and then the next lobby, because it was two sharks in the pool of minnows again, I thought, alright, fine, I'll feed off his minnows. And I got my kill streak on. I think I was running, UAV, VSAT, and the Warthog, which is, I think that's my preferred loadout. I love the Warthog, it's such an awesome plane. I don't care that it's technically an underpowered kill streak, I just love the noise it makes. So the Warthog's quite often my top kill streak. I get it sometimes, But I actually, playing against this guy, I got it 3 times back to back. Except, of course, by the second time I got my Warthog, he'd left. Sharks don't really like other sharks, and sometimes when I'm in a lobby with a stronger player, then yeah, one of us pretty much has to leave. So, to summarise, burgers. Volsil says, a personal question for you, Stu. I recently watched your Soul Edge series on Retrohoy and wondered, are you a fan of the Mortal Kombat series of fighting games? As a matter of fact, yes, I do quite like them. I had the first one back in the day, and I bought the remake, whatever it's called. Is it Mortal Kombat 8, 9, 11? I don't know. Anyway, the newest one. I got that for the Xbox 360. And yeah, I like them. They are kind of gore porn beat-em-ups, really. That's, with the X-ray moves and the fatalities in the original, and, well, obviously the subsequent titles as well. They've always been sort of that sort of angle. I noticed a bunch of people were angry that I didn't mention Mortal Kombat in the Soul Edge video. But it's almost like they misunderstood the point of the video, which is, of course, the history of Soul Edge and the pursuant Soul Calibur series. It wasn't really a sort of a general beat-em-up history, so I only touched on beat-em-ups that were actually relevant to the history of Soul Edge. And like I say, Soul Edge not really influenced by Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat came a little bit late, well, it came a little bit earlier, but it wasn't really an influence. It kind of was, sort of. It existed in the same universe, but not really a direct one. I chose to sort of reference other, perhaps less well-known stuff like Battle Arena to Shinden. But yeah, I mean, I can show you, I'm perfectly well aware of the Mortal Kombat series. Zaliran says, hi Stu, are you a Redditor? If so, what are your favourite subreddits? I am a Redditor, yes. I've been on Reddit for about 6 years now with my first account. My Xbox Ahoy account, which is just simply Xbox Ahoy, that's about 2 years old, maybe approaching 3 years now. Subreddits I actually enjoy. Now that's a rare breed. I like R Science. That's probably one of the largest subreddits that I actually still has decent content, largely due to the heavy-handed moderation. I also follow R Black Ops 2, which is the Black Ops 2 relevant subreddit. The community there is okay, not as good as it used to be in the MW2 and the Black Ops era. I used to play with a lot of the guys from Reddit back in those days. These days, well, I'm still playing with the same guys, and it's just, I don't know, as the subreddits become more popular, as they get more and more subscribers, it seems like they become less friendly, less tight-knit places. So there's a lot of negativity that goes on in the Black Ops 2 subreddit. It's mostly just complaining about lag compensation and stuff like that. And, I mean, whilst, don't get me wrong, some of these points are sort of valid, it doesn't really do anybody any favours to sort of dwell in this sort of negativity. I don't know, I kind of follow the other gaming subreddits, just because I think it's a good idea to have a sense of the general gaming community. I need to think of a post-COD world in which I'm forced to migrate into other domains of video content, because one day, weapon guides will be pretty passé. And I have ambitions to sort of transfer into a larger domain of relevance. So keeping up with our gaming is generally a sort of a good idea to keep up with a sense of where the community is at. It turns out that it's mostly at regurgitated memes, screenshots of games that have just been recently released with some funny text on top, and knitted items from Valve games. Those are probably the hottest topics in the world of gaming right now. eRuidFHJCVBN says, aim time is 0.22 seconds, or... Well, yes, you'll notice I specified the aim time for the BDW as 200 milliseconds, whereas the MP7 was specified as 220 milliseconds. The latter is incorrect. There is the major statistical chart that goes around is incorrect on so many points. I think extended mag capacities are wrong on there, switch times are wrong on there, and the aim times are incorrect on there. SMG aim time is 200 milliseconds, it's the same as it's always ever been. But it turns out if you measure it on the Xbox and you accidentally include an extra frame, it works out at about 220 milliseconds. Again, it's a relatively minor difference. It is only literally one frame at 60 frames a second. So it's not the end of the world to specify 220, but, you know, for the sticklers for accuracy, that kind of, that bothers them. Alright, let's rapid fire some questions. Nico Tenshi says, will you review the new DLC SMG that will be coming out with the map pack soon? Yes, I will cover it with the utmost priority. As soon as the DLC is out, I will start work on that weapon guide. Mr. Jinxie says, hey Stu, I was just wondering how long does it take to acquire a taste for beer and spot all the differences between them? Because any time I've had beer, it all tastes the same. You're probably drinking commercial lagers, and commercial lagers do all taste the same. That's why they're so popular, it's a consistent taste. What you want to try is maybe some, you know, slightly rarer craft ales. Ales are really where the world of diversity opens up. I would make some suggestions, but I don't know where you are geographically, so this journey of discovery is one you will have to make on your own. JRapCDKairai says, Stu, why do you use the MMS for the PDW-57 when you know it has low bullet penetration through walls? Because if you know where an enemy is in any given room and you have a close quarters weapon, winning that gunfight becomes a whole lot easier. You can just strafe right on in there with your sights already up and shoot them in that critical moment before they have a chance to react. The Codzilla player says, actually, you move at 102% speed when using an SMG with stock. Watch out, everybody, we've got a smart aleck on the loose. Nothing I said would preclude that particular statistic. I purposefully avoided saying any statistics because I did not have a reliable source for that figure, okay? I couldn't determine where that number came from. Drifter recounted it. It's on Synthic. Synthic are normally on the money, but I don't know what the original source is, and testing movement speed is notoriously iffy. Mad Violent Chicken says, hi Stu, if the money were available, would you ever consider branching out into almost a studio or network style, working with other people? You seem to have many ideas that you mention, but I can see that being only you, time and working constraints would really hamper those. Your thoughts on you running one or on networks in general? I'd like to start a studio, I really would. I'd like to sort of have a group of, you know, strong creative people working on their own little projects and collaborating to produce regular content for a channel that, you know, that does turn over a reliable income for the studio, with also a bit of room, you know, to experiment, especially leaving me to experiment, to sort of devise stuff. I'd like that. In practical terms, though, it would need a large investment and, at the moment, not particularly viable. That Mr. Some Guy says, hey Xbox Ahoy, before you start answering questions for your bonus footage videos, can you tell us what your weekly emblems are based off of? This week I had Miner Willy as my emblem, from the Spectrum Games Jet Set Willy and Manic Miner. In the laser sight I was using slightly older footage from the Remington 870 era, as it were, with the Psygnosis logo. Next week I'll start off the bonus footage with a description of what I was using, but it should be pretty obvious next week. Finally, Lankinator24 says, if you were to join Her Majesty's Armed Forces, which service would you join? First of all, apologies for my continued ignorance of this question. I have seen it multiple times and I have yet to answer it. I've actually selected it for answering a couple of times, but it seems like it's always, you must post this question quite late on, as it's always towards the end of my selected questions. You see, we've just run out of footage. If I hadn't have gone quickfire, I never would have got to this question. Now, I haven't really thought about this too seriously because I don't really fancy joining the armed forces, but if I were to join, I don't know. I'm a communications guy at my core, and I do have a bit of a technical streak, so I'd probably be useful in sort of the signal corps of some description. I'd probably go land. I don't know. Sea, I could probably cope as sea, but I think I'd rather have my boots on the ground. So, I don't know. British Army, signal corps. But if it's quite alright, I'd rather stay inside and make videos. Anyway, that's all my footage, so I shall wrap this one up, get it rendered and upload it to Ahoy Xbox. That is exactly the process I will go through, yes. Thank you very much for watching, and I shall join you on Friday for the 5.7 pistol guide. And don't tell anybody, but I'm going to do a double special this week. I'm hoping to get the small out on Sunday. This will, of course, displace the holographic sight a little bit, but that's okay. Nobody really cares about the launchers anyway. They're always my least viewed videos, so I think it is probably better to get that out of the way on a secondary slot. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, farewell.